thanks for joining today. Yeah, obviously, a lot of you, I'm sure, are interested in how the role of an assistant is changing. And what I'll do is walk you through a little bit of context of who I am, and then kind of cover off some key discussion points. I'm Lara. I'm the founder of the Modern VA. I've worked as an assistant for over 10 years in a broad range of different industries, different roles, so supporting directors, CEOs, founders. And then about 2.5 years ago, I went freelance and set up my virtual assistants business. And during that time, I found that there were two shifts kind of happening then. So this is about 2023, and I'm sure a few of you might have already started kind of fiddling with ChatGPT then, and that's kind of where the AI evolution really started to take off. And I panicked and I thought, this is going to wipe out my role. I need to become an AI specialist, an AI implementer. And I went down a deep rabbit hole of just learning AI really and figuring out how to become, relevant in that space still. And what I discovered was actually it's a really great extension of what we do. And I felt that there was a lot of overwhelm because all the content out there is so tech bro heavy, or it's just like super focused on a particular type of business. I also had a couple of associates working for me, and I started to realize that they didn't know about a lot of the, not just the AI tools out there, but just tech in general that could be supporting their work. So I really wanted a community where I could learn how to do relevant tech things for myself, but also to share what I was finding, because I was coming across hacks and kind of just keeping them to myself. So that's where the Modern VA was born from. Started it about a year ago, and during that time we've been building a community where I train VAs on how to utilize tech into their day-to-day operations. So that's a little bit about background about me. In terms of what we're going to talk about today, so I think a key discussion point at the moment is what does AI mean for our role as an assistant? There's a lot of scaremongering going on at the moment, and I've seen a lot of headline posts, especially on LinkedIn, where it's like, replace your 80k assistant, just get this agent in your system. And it's making a lot of assistants feel like our role is under threat. But I actually see it as one of the best opportunities that we have faced in a long time, in years really. I think the role of an assistant has been very undervalued for a long time, and I think the title doesn't justify exactly what we do. From you get an admin assistant and then you have an EA, and it's just such a broad label. So I think this is a shift we're going to start to see as this adoption comes more into play. So a question I get asked all the time is, what is AI actually replacing assistants, or is it reshaping the role? So I think that it's an opportunity where AI is really going to separate the wheat from the chaff, and that is going to be seen across all white collar jobs. It's not just an assistant that is going to feel this impact. It's everyone that works in that type of industry. I don't believe that, a good assistant can be replaced by AI, and we'll get into that a little bit later. But in terms of how we adopt and use AI is actually seen to be an amplifier of what we do rather than an opportunity to replace. What I find when adopting this with my work is it creates an opportunity for more strategic work, and it allows assistants to focus more on a kind of business partner position rather than being a task doer. And I think it's a really exciting opportunity. It's not necessarily one where we're going to be replaced, but it's an adoption. And we've seen this happen before in technological evolutions. There were a lot of people sat in these camps when computers came out, things were done a certain way, and there was that evolution, and it's a natural evolution that happens. Although it's happening a lot quicker than I think we've seen before, and that's what then causes this panic and overwhelm really. So what I find is the biggest real shift happening in the assistant role right now. So AI is great at rule-based high volume processing. If you are in a role that is focused on that, focused on a lot of drafting, these roles are purely going to shift. And that's just a natural part of the evolution, really. I think I'm seeing a lot of companies that are particularly looking for assistants that not necessarily are tech savvy, but are comfortable in using AI. Interested actually to get an understanding of how everyone feels at the moment. What level are you guys at? If you can just pop in the chat, like, are you adopting it at the moment? Are you scared of it? How are your businesses expecting you to adopt to it? Be interesting to see where you are at. I'll give you a couple seconds to share in the chat. Also, feel free to unmute and share your opinion on how you're seeing the shift at the moment with your clients, with job opportunities. Love how I don't know how to use technology. I can see chats, but I don't know how to open them. Oh, here we go. Yeah, so a few of you are using it for businesses and yourself, you can ChatGPT a lot, about to try Claude, yeah, massive shift happening with everyone going from ChatGPT to Claude. I can just hear someone's background noise on. Yeah, so it's frightening when you speak to business owners about not needing people to minute meetings now. Yeah, natural shift there. That's quite a common thing. Although it's quite an interesting one because someone made a really good point the other day. They don't let people transcribe their meeting notes because they don't know what they've agreed to with that output. And right now, there's not really any solid governance or regulations in place. But as that comes into place, it'll be interesting to see how that changes. I know that particular industries don't want you to use it, like lawyers, if you're working in health. But yeah, right now, people are saying they don't need it. But is that going to change when there's a shift back? Sorry, someone's background music on again. What else have you guys said? Using it for clients, just moved everything across ChatGPT to Claude. Yeah, big shift there. Using Copilot. Dispute emails. Yeah, that's a helpful one to use it for. Yeah, ChatGPT helping you with your work. Yeah, so a few of you are adopting already. It's quite interesting. I saw a statistic recently that outside of our kind of professions and where we sit, there are so many people that are still not actually using it. And I actually put a story up on my Instagram today because the summary was really funny and obviously blocked out personal details. But then my friend commented and was like, what is this? And I was like, oh, it's a transcript from a Zoom meeting, but they're a DJ. Like they have no idea. She was like, whoa, like that's so Black Mirror. But we're so consumed in it that we feel like it is just so... everyone's talking about it, but when you step outside of our types of industries, there's still a lot of adoption to happen. And I think until those regulations come in, it's hard to know how we're going to be allowed to use it as well. Okay, cool. So yeah, the kind of shifts I'm seeing, companies are expecting assistants to be dabbling in it at least. You don't have to be an expert, but you need to be maybe, curious about it and showing that how you've been curious about it. And new roles are being created like every single day at this point. Who knows what positions are going to come from this and where we're going to be in a few years' time and how our role will evolve and the opportunities it's going to present for us as well, which I think is actually quite exciting because I feel like, you kind of get to an EA position and then the only next steps are like COO or COS, and there's only so many positions that have that, or companies that have that opportunity. So I think it is bringing in a new opportunity for us to step into, but we just don't know what that is going to be yet. So what are assistants misunderstanding or getting wrong about AI? So I think there's kind of two spectrums on this. You've got some people that think it is the best thing since sliced bread, and it should be used to do absolutely everything for you, but this is not a good place to be. I had a recent encounter with it where so for context, I've got the Modern VA, which I'm the founder of, but we also have the Modern Ops where we support businesses with AI implementation. And I was kind of brainstorming with ChatGPT about how do I grow my business? Like, where should I go with this? What strategy should I take? And it basically was telling me to sack in the Modern VA and focus on the modern ops. And the reason it did that is because LLMs, so that's like ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, Perplexity, that's what they're called, LLMs, they work on predictability. So if I'm telling it, this is my idea, what's going to be the best resolution? Right now, there are lots of companies offering implementation. it's got data to work out to give me the predictability of that outcome. As no one's doing what I'm doing with the modern VA, so how is it going to advise me that that is a success? It's, you know, some of these things you don't know until you face that limitation. It's not the best thing since sliced bread. It is very limited at times. It's built on predictability. It can't think outside the box. It's not, you know, doing anything that hasn't been done before. So it's important to know its limitations and accept that it is not the best thing ever. And I think, you know, I see a lot of articles where people are saying you can replace your assistant, use an AI agent. And I think it's, that it can do some of the work that we do. But a key point that it can't do is a vibe check. And I think that is a key skill of an assistant. So if your exec wants to go to a restaurant and they ask their AI agent to find them a restaurant, book them a restaurant, that AI agent doesn't know that exec on the personal level that we do. No information that can be fed can really get that, because I think sometimes, and you know, anyone that has been an assistant can vouch for this, they know their execs better than their execs know themselves sometimes. And an AI agent can't pick up on information that it doesn't know, and it's not going to be able to ever be fed. So how is AI changing the type of work assistants should be focusing on is another question I get asked a lot. So I think it's really important to focus on your strategic offerings. It's, you know, what we do is we anticipate needs. We are good at protecting our execs' energy and their boundaries. These are things that an AI agent can't do. And, you know, I use Calendly a lot to get my meetings booked. It is so good for reducing that back and forth, but there's been multiple incidents where it just doesn't work. So like I've had it where I put a setting that it will buffer, so it won't put back-to-back meetings for a particular thing. But then I look at my calendar and it's got lots of buffers in, but you know, you can't get that strategic analysis of a calendar and figure out, okay, what can actually be moved? This isn't urgent, we can replace it with this. So use these tools as an extension of you and demonstrate this with your execs, but also highlight where you are still incredibly valuable. And I don't see how an AI agent will ever be able to do that work. And yeah, I see a couple of you saying you've seen these RIP EAs on LinkedIn posts. You'll often see me fighting with these people that write these posts, and you go and look at their experience. And first of all, they're a tech bro. Second of all, they have no experience of what an assistant is or does. You know, they've come from a very junior job and gone straight into promoting this product, and they have never had an assistant. And they are explaining that we're going to be replaced. It is so frustrating, but I constantly am fighting them, so don't worry. What I think is important to be aware of with what they're promoting as well is, and what really annoys me, is that they are targeting vulnerable people, in my opinion. They're targeting people who don't actually understand the intricate details of the tech. And they are saying like, yeah, DM me and I'll send you my way to set this up. Telling people to give it free access to their computer. I'm not going to do that, and I'm techie. I don't know what I would do if it went wrong. It's all about marketing and trying to get people in. But I think the more that we see these products go wrong, the more people are going to stop using them or be cautious of using them. So yeah. Try not to let them worry you too much, because it is just a marketing scam. I'm just going to catch up on the comments. Yeah, so someone's saying they're not allowed to use anything except Copilot, as they claim information is not safe. Does anyone know anything more about this? Yeah, so there's a lot of chatter about this at the moment. A lot of companies are restricting their teams to only use Copilot because they feel that it is the safe version. I think as a EA gives you an opportunity to kind of demonstrate your ability as a strategic partner and say to your exec, look, people are going to use AI, and what we really need to make sure we have in place in our company is the right governance and the right understanding of how to use AI and have those guardrails in place. A lot of people are really disappointed with Copilot. It's not a product I really tend to use because I don't really work with that many corporate businesses. But from the feedback I've heard of other assistants it isn't all that. But yeah, I think, have these conversations with your execs and say, You know, we want to make use of these tools. How do we do it sensibly? What do we put in place to ensure that people have confidence to adopt, that people aren't accidentally putting information into other places? You know, there's lots of things to be aware of how tools are being used. And I also think sometimes people don't realize they're using AI, which can be dangerous in itself. So getting that educational key piece across and understanding what you are doing really helps with that. Yeah, so in terms of what we should be focusing on, helping your businesses adopt. So yeah, going back to that point, being that source of knowledge, you do not need to become techie. I think assistants are one of the best roles to adopt AI because we have a unique understanding of how business operates and kind of cross-departmental understanding as well. We see how it runs all across, and this is the perfect place to identify these opportunities when you have an understanding of how it can be used. Again, emphasis on just understanding how. You don't need to be doing it. You don't need to become techie, but you need to know the possibilities, the capabilities, the limitations. And then that provides more opportunity, and it makes you a really valuable asset to the business. And there's a massive difference between tool users and system thinkers. I have a lot of clients come to me and say, I want to adopt AI in my business. And there's lots of businesses doing AI implementation that don't look at the core foundations of how a business is operating. And AI does not fix how a business operates. If you do not have strong structure in place, it's just going to expose things. It's going to make things messy. It's not a solution. So being that person who's making sure that the business is operating to its best level is an area that all EAs and assistants should be focusing on. So what skills are becoming more valuable? Not less because of AI. I think relationship building. Someone wrote because I did a post about this rippy kind of headlines, and someone commented a really good analogy on it. And it was like, yes, your AI agent can find you the best club in the city and tell you where to go, but your exec turns up and they can't get in. You know, there's that lack of that personal relationship, and you as an EA can be using these tools to help you do that research, but what's the next level? And that's where a strategic EA is just going to continue to shine. Like, these tools are going to help you do your job more efficiently, but yeah, relationship building is a really great place to focus on. I think also, sorry, someone's mic's on again. I don't know how you can mute them. Yeah, so I think I saw a post the other day of someone saying that he started this drinks business brand, and he just feels like he's not getting anywhere with his outreach. And I think it's become so easy for us to do outreach now. You can automate things. You can just go on ChatGPT, get it to write you a letter, an email, whatever. But no one's standing out anymore. People are getting saturated. It's just not effective anymore. You're not standing out in the crowd. So he actually went to a location where a festival was happening in the summer, and he went round all the local corner shops, and he just went in with his drinks, and he was like, do you want to stop my drink? And he was like, I've had more success from that day out than I've had in ages. So I think we're going to see a shift of kind of traditional relationship building being really amplified. I think with the rise of so much AI content, you know, people are using AI agents to do videos of them now. So we've had that rise of social media where video content was so valuable, whereas I think people are now going to not know what they believe anymore. They're not going to really resonate with that. People by people as well. You know, you think about, people are so worried that AI is going to take over actors and actresses' jobs, and you can do an AI generated film, but I think you lose that personal connection and investment. You know, you often have your favorite actor or actress, and when the film comes out that they're in, you go and watch that film, or you particularly look for films that they're in. So I don't really believe that AI can just take this all out, because I don't think we're going to be as invested. I have seen content all over social media that I just open it and I just think this is all written by an LLM, and I completely disengage. I've banned my team from using them too much. If we're writing content, I want you to write the content and then use the LLM to refine it. It's also about how you're using the LLM. So if you're just dumping stuff in and you're not really taking time to train it, I often say treat your AI as if it's a junior assistant. You wouldn't just say to your assistant, like, write me an article and then be happy with what comes out. You need to tell them what the article is about, like who is the audience, you know, what are the key things you want to cover in there, how you want it to come across, what is the outcome of it, what's the purpose of it. So I think a lot of people are just using it as a quick shortcut, but you're just going to get saturated. People aren't going to stand out. People aren't going to get engaged. I think we're going to see a massive shift of people thinking more creatively, and that's who's going to stand out. Or a Microsoft Copilot presentation, and it was beautifully done, but I was just like, I'm bored of this, you know, nothing, it's predictable. I think, you know, making sure you're standing out and keeping your unique edge. Someone just asking about what does LLM stand for. It's a large language models. Yeah, the ChatGPT, Gemini, Perplexity, Claude, everyone's favorite at the moment. That's what an LLM is. And you're probably all using it. And I think that's, you know, a key thing is so many people are using AI, they're using products, they're hearing these words and they're thinking, what on earth does that mean? I've got a glossary that we share in our community of all these different terminologies. And like, sometimes someone would say to me like, oh, you're using this. And I'm like, I have no idea what that word means. And then I go back and check my glossary and I was like, oh, I do know. And I am using it. Like, I'm in this space. It's my job to keep on top of it. I'm overwhelmed. I can't keep up. So it's not an isolating experience. Yeah. So, and then again, like skills to focus on is human oversight. So, kind of going back to that vibe check thing again, where can we put the human element back in and make us stand out? In terms of how assistants can then move from a task taker to a strategic partner in this new landscape. So I think what I would say to do is identify which of your current tasks could be replaced or assisted by AI. Be the one who identifies that. Don't let someone else come in and say, we think AI can wipe all of this responsibility off of you. Identify that and then focus on what are your unique strategic characteristics? Where do you stand out? Where can AI not replace you? Understand those differences and it will keep you valuable, it will keep you relevant, it will keep you confident as well that you're not getting replaced because you understand how your role is going to adopt and change. And then in terms of what this means for earning potential and career progression. So like I say, I think this is an exciting opportunity. I think I feel like a lot of people fall into an assisting role, especially with my VA audience, you know, it just kind of happens. And you might get to a point where you are ready for a change and you want something different, but you're not sure where to take that. And I think AI is going to bring in a lot of different opportunities we don't even know about yet. And there's different ways that you can navigate this. You know, like I say, I think assistants are in a great position to be responsible for helping a business adopt because you can spot those opportunities for AI integration. But it's not that you have to be the implementer, but you can play a really big role of spotting these opportunities. And then you can stay in your role, but be supercharged by AI or empowered by AI and use it as an extension of what you do and who you offer your services to. And then there's going to be roles like AI implementation that you could go into, AI auditing. I think this is where I really see a lot of strength for assistants, is being the one to spot those opportunities. Like I say, I think we have one of the best oversights of how a business runs. And things like AI operations architects. So spotting those and building it, that's a lot of what I do with clients. I kind of work with them to see where are your foundations lacking, build those strong foundations, and then we implement a bit of AI into what they do and tech in general as well. So if you are feeling behind or overwhelmed, the best thing I would suggest doing is building your foundation. So don't try and run before you can walk. Don't try and go and build a workflow or an automation system when you don't know the fundamentals. So understanding some of the lingo is a good place to start. Understanding how to spot these opportunities, knowing what it means for the role, how it can help businesses. So yeah, getting those core foundations in place is key. We run lots of training on that with the Modern VA. We've got online kind of crash courses that can help you get those key fundamentals. We run a academy where we do monthly sessions. I see a couple of you from my academy in here as well. So yeah, we do different training sessions. So we did one this week on a tool called Dripify, which is like LinkedIn outreach automation, on AEO. So that's SEO for LLM search. So the point of the Academy is basically a place to keep up together, because it moves so quickly and we're so busy with our work that it's so hard to understand, to have time to dig into all these really hefty content. And I just felt like everyone out there is making content for business owners or like big businesses. And I think VAs have a real, or assistants in general, have an opportunity here as well. And that's exactly why I created this space. I feel like it's a chance for us to adopt and to understand it. And I basically just make it like to the point, what you need to know. And how you can apply it in your own work. So yeah, that kind of covers off everything that I wanted to chat to you about today. Did anyone have any questions or any thoughts to share on how they're adopting, or any takeaways from today? I'll give you a couple seconds. I feel like I've rambled on for ages. Feel free to unmute and shout out if you want to, or just put it in the chat box. If you want more information on kind of the Academy and the crash course, what I'll do is actually just pop the website in the chat, and feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm always posting on there. I'm always fighting these tech bros, so I bring entertainment to it as well. So yeah, feel free to join our mailing list. We run monthly free sessions. So we've got a masterclass next week on kind of managing your strategy of clients, so mainly focus on using Notion. Glad that you guys have enjoyed it. Yeah, Lindsay, feel free to click on the website, and lots of info there on the Academy. What I would say is we've changed it now that you can't join the Academy without doing the crash course, because we feel like everyone should come in with the foundations to make the most out of it. There is a quiz you can do on my website as well, which is how techie you are as an assistant. So that's quite a good thing to do. If you score over 80%, then you can come straight through to the Academy. Although from our results, about 1% have scored that high before. So it just shows, we're all in this together. You're not behind. Lots of people feel behind, or in all different kind of industries. But it's an exciting time, I believe. Okay, someone asking what my favorite AI tool. Do you know, I actually hate this question because I can't ever say one. I got asked one with a client the other day and I knew they were going to ask me. It's so dependent on what I'm doing. At the moment, I'm doing a lot of LinkedIn outreach, so I've been really enjoying those. Dripify, and there's another tool I found, although I don't know if I call it AI, called I can't even pronounce it. So that's great, Conondo or something. Yeah, so I think it's more, what I've actually said to a lot of people, they say like, what's your favorite tool? Is stop asking this question and start asking like, how's your favorite way of using AI? Because the tools change all the time. And, like I've been an avid user of ChatGPT for years now. I am in the progress of moving over to Claude for multiple different reasons. And I'll share more of that in my community if you're interested. Follow me on LinkedIn. But I think, so many people focusing on like, oh, this tool looks good. And they're not taking the time to actually understand how to use AI effectively. So I think, look at that instead. Focus on how are you using it? What use cases are there for businesses as well? Again, looking at the operations, and then think about the tools. It's not always about like, this is the best tool. And they add up as well. Like, my outgoing subscriptions of these tools is just getting excessive now. Like, I'm going to have to strip it back because there's just too many out there. But yeah, I see a few of you moving to Claude. Is there one that scans WhatsApp inboxes? Yeah, absolutely. Drop me a message and I'll talk to you a bit further about this, because it's a bit more integrated. It depends on what you're doing. But yeah, honestly, I feel like there's a tool for everything. Yeah, so Ilona's making a good point about fixing with inboxes. I think the important thing to be aware of with using some of these tools is the data protection side of it and the GDPR. It's not always suitable. Often when I work with clients, we tend to set up a workflow and implementation, which is a little bit more techie, but it's a lot more secure. Yeah, again, it's like being aware of these things. And we ran a GDPR session with a lawyer in the Academy the other week where we went over what kind of things you need to know. So that was, really good insights, because there's a lot of things that people are doing and they don't even realize what they're doing is wrong. And that's why it's really important before you're using these tools is to understand how to use it and use it correctly. And that's where we recommend the crash course as well, because we touch on that. So yeah, I think that brings us to a good close, unless anyone had any other questions. Lots of questions about using tools. I highly recommend you come join the academy because we chat about this stuff all the time. It is yeah, a great space for like troubleshooting, figuring out what's the best tool to use, how to improve your current workflow. So yeah, connect with me on LinkedIn, drop me a message, and we can chat further. Because otherwise, we'll be here all day talking. What's the best tool? Emmy wants to wrap up. Yeah. Amazing, good. Tin in the chat as well quickly. No probs. Thanks. Bye.